Good evening, everybody. Good morning. Hello, wherever you are. Welcome to this Monday's Zen and Zazen class. Today, I want to talk again about Dogen Zenji's instruction for Zazen, the Fukan Zazengi. But before that, let's sit together for 30 minutes. After that, I will talk, and there will also be the opportunity to ask questions if you have.
我们前面还是30分钟坐禅，然后今天讲普赞坐禅仪。嗯，
Thank you for joining. So today I want to get back to Dogen's Fukan Zazengi. Let me share the screen with you. On the right side you have the original, which is in classical Chinese. On the left side is the English, and maybe first I can also read the Japanese reading. I read once more the last paragraph, which I read 2 weeks ago. Yono tsune zasho ni wa atsuku zamotsu o shiki ue ni futon o mochiu. Aruiwa kekka fuza, aruiwa hanka fuza. Iwaku kekka fuza wa mazu migi no ashi o motte hidari no momo no ue ni anji. Hidari no ashi o migi no momo no ue ni anzu. Hanka fuza wa tada hidari no ashi o motte migi no momo o osu nari. Yuruku etai o kakete sei sei narashimu beshi. Tsugi ni migi no te o hidari no ashi no ue ni anji hidari no tanagokoro o migi no tanagokoro no ue ni anzu. Ryou no dai boshi mukaite ai sasou. And the English translation of that is, when you sit, spread a mat and put a cushion on it. And last time I showed you, that's my usual zafu, it's called in Japanese, the cushion that I usually use. And here in Osaka, in my room, I have this relatively thin kind of yoga mat style, but also in this room we have these, how do you say cork? In German you say cork. Maybe in English you say cork as well. We got these mats here on the floor, which make it softer. But often you have tatami mats, and on top of that tatami mat you put an extra zabuton mat. And I think I explained last time that even in Japan some temples don't have the zabuton, others have it. Some people say that the tatami mat alone is enough. Either way, sit either in the full lotus or half lotus position. In the full lotus position, first place your right foot on your left thigh, then your left foot on your right thigh. Let me demonstrate. Of course, first of all, if you can't sit in either full lotus or half lotus, you don't have to. Like right now, for example, I'm sitting in the so-called Burmese style, and that of course is also totally okay. It probably won't give you the same stability, but this is okay. You can sit in a kneeling position and, for example, use this cushion under your buttocks and sit like this. That's also okay. You can use a bench for sitting. You can use a chair. For some reason, Dogen Zenji didn't think it's necessary to explain about these other options. Maybe in his time, because people were used to sitting on the floor so much that basically everybody was able to sit in either half lotus or full lotus. But today, because we grow up with chairs, especially in the West, many people are not used to sitting on the floor. For a lot of people, it's very difficult, especially if you start when you are a little bit older. So in that case, don't, how do you say, force it. So I demonstrate it now, but this is only for those of you who feel comfortable with sitting in either half or full lotus for half an hour. If you don't feel comfortable with it, you don't have to do it. So what Dogen Zenji basically is saying, first the right foot on top of the left thigh. And I think in the Fukan Zazengi he doesn't say how deep it should be. But there's another work by Dogen Zenji where he says that the tips of the toes should basically reach just to the outside of the thigh. They shouldn't protrude too much. Like if you do Ashtanga yoga, often at the end you do this thing. And if you do this, it helps if the thighs are kind of protruding. So this has nothing to do with Zen, but if you do it like this, makes it easier to kind of do this thing here. And, so this is not Zen, but you do this sometimes at the end of an Ashtanga practice. But in the case of Zen, the toes shouldn't be protruding, but this is kind of considered to be ideal. Right foot first, left foot after that. Or in the case of half lotus, Dogen Zenji says, only put the right foot, no, the left foot. The case of the half lotus, it's only the left foot. And I think I said that 2 weeks ago already. So if the other way around is for you easier, is it okay to also do it the other way around? And there's two possible answers. Most people I know say, of course you can switch. Actually, if you sit, for example, a session and you sit 10, 12, maybe 15 periods a day, it's advisable to switch from time to time. But I know also some people, very few, but I know some people that say, no, it's important that you do it the way Dogen Zenji instructed. And for some reason also in Ashtanga Yoga, you do it the same. So I don't know why you do it this way, but there are some teachers that say there is a reason and you shouldn't switch it around. But I belong to those who say you can switch it around. For me, this way is much easier than the other way around. But when I was sitting in Antaiji 4 hours a day, I would usually at least 1, maybe even 2 periods switch it around, although this is easier for me. Maybe so much first, and Xuan-san can translate.
我们今天其实老师从往后面讲，今天主要讲了坐姿，我简单翻译一下那个老师读的那个内容啊。寻常坐处，复服作物，上用蒲团，它就是莲花盘啊，或结跏趺坐，或半跏趺坐。未结跏趺坐，先以右足安左腿上，左足安右腿上。半跏趺坐，但以左足压右腿，衣带宽细，可令齐整。次，右手安左足上，左掌安右手上，两大脚趾相向，乃正身端坐，不得左侧右倾，前弓后仰，要耳对肩。后面还没讲到，就讲到这儿。就是老师这里面写的是一般情况下坐禅的时候，下边应该有一个厚的垫子，然后上面呢上面放个杂布团，就是蒲团，我们坐在蒲团上面盘坐，可以莲花盘，两个腿都盘上，或者是单腿盘。然后这个叫这个字儿念跏趺啊，跏趺坐，或者是半跏趺坐。这里面写的是先把右腿放在左腿上面，然后左腿放在右腿上，和我们练阿汤的那个体式是一样的。或者是半莲花也可以，就是半跏趺，左足压右腿。然后半莲花坐它只是提到了左腿就是左脚压在右腿上面，然后衣服要穿的宽松一些，穿戴整齐，然后右手放在左腿上， 左脚上，左手放在右手上，就是这样，两个大手指相对。老师说，就是其实除了这个莲花盘坐，半莲花和那个整个莲花盘以外，其实还有其他的一些坐姿。刚好老师那儿卡了，我没听着啊，有几句我听到了，跟大家说一下。就我知道还有跪坐，其实也行，就是把跪在垫子上面坐，或者是你把那个蒲团放在两个腿中间，屁股坐在那个上面，跪在上面，其实也是一个很舒服的姿势。或者是其实还有小板凳，就有的同学可能跪在蒲团上边，不是蒲团啊，他是跪在那个板凳，坐在板凳上面，把腿跪在那个板凳下面，也有这样的。就是不知道为什么那个道元禅师这里面没有提到其他的坐姿，其实是还有其他的坐姿的，也可能是因为他那个年代可能大家不这么做吧。老师说他也不知道，其实是有其他坐姿的。还有关于那个脚趾，就是老师这个道元禅师这里本书里面写的是，你的脚趾头不要出来大腿太多，应该放到胯和脚的外侧。像我们阿汤最后完成序列的时候，要抓住大脚趾哈。我们做帕德玛桑拿的时候，那个是瑜伽练习，坐禅的时候不要求。当然，那个有一些人对右脚先放在左脚上很执着哈，就是而且书里面也是这么写的，就是老师这个普真这个文章里面是这么写的，应该是右脚，而阿汤的练习也是右脚先。但其实实际上有一些老师很严格，说你必须得按书上写的，或者你一定得按那个我们要求的右脚先。其实，在现实坐禅的时候。也是可以左脚，也有一些老师不这么坚定的，就是你也是可以左脚先放在右腿上。其实他在那个安泰寺坐禅的时候呢，因为那个接心时间特别长，一天可能要做10几个小时，如果全是一条腿的话，可能坚持不下来，所以他一天可能要换个几次，就是要换个几次腿，而且不是每一次。有一些老师是都盘坐，有一些人他可能不都是盘坐，比如早上的时候可能是2个腿一起盘，中间的时候呢换到半莲花，然后最后可能换到就是跪到那个杂蒲团上面，就是你的坐姿是可以来回变动的，脚也不用出来特别多啊，然后基本上就这些内容，然后老师估计还得往下说，
Thank you. Maybe a little bit more about the left-right problem. If you sit the way Dogen Zenji recommends, first you put on the right foot on top of the left thigh, then the left foot on top of the right thigh. In Japanese, this way of sitting in lotus is called gomasa. I wrote it with Chinese characters in the chat function. Gomasa means basically to suppress the demons. And the other way around, so first the left foot and then the right foot. This would be called in Japanese kichijosa. Kichijosa is, what would it be in English? Austerious seat. And actually there's some Buddha statues, or as far as I can tell, most Buddha statues, you see the Buddha sitting in this way, the opposite way. And after this, Dogen Zenji explains the way to fold the hands. First the right hand down on foot of the feet and then the left foot. But if you look at Buddha statues, also often it's the opposite way. The right hand is on top. And when you look at Buddhist monks in Theravada tradition, in Thailand, Sri Lanka, or Myanmar, for some reason also, they usually have the hands the other way around. They have the right hand on top of the left hand. And I wonder why that could be. In the case of the hands, maybe it's because in South Asia you eat with the right hand while you use the left hand in the toilet to clean yourself after you finished your business. So it would be strange to to put the meal hand, the eating hand, under the toilet hand. The other way around might make more sense if the left hand is considered impure and the right hand is considered pure. And in the case of the feet, sometimes you hear the explanation that gomasa means to suppress the demons. So that's the way to sit before you reach the enlightenment. But the Buddha is already enlightened. So after enlightenment, you put the right foot on top, and the right foot represents yang, the active side. So after enlightenment, you can become active to help others. Before enlightenment, you have to, well, suppress the active yang side by the yin side. But from the Zen point of view, it's not that practice before enlightenment is different from practice after enlightenment. Dogen would say the moment you sit for the first time, you're already manifesting enlightenment, and helping others and practicing Zazen are also not two separate things. So from the first day of practice, we are already manifesting enlightenment, and this manifestation of enlightenment should never be separated from our active helping with others. So basically what I'm trying to say is probably the left side and the right side, which is yin, which is yang. Probably it's not so important, at least for me personally, it's not so important. But for me personally, it's easier to sit the way Dogen Zenju recommends, so I usually do that. But if it's the opposite way around is easier for you, I have no problems with you sitting the other way around. And as I said in the beginning, you can also sit on a chair, on a bench, in the Burmese posture, whichever you like. In the case of the hands, probably it's not a big problem for most of us, but if you prefer to sit this way, at least I, in my practice, could never notice a big difference, except that sometimes if you put them here on the feet, and you put the right hand on top of the left foot, and then the left hand on top of that, there's this kind of empty space here, which of course you can fill if you have some kind of towel or so, you can fill this. But sometimes if you sit the other way around, so if you put the left hand down first and then right hand, this left hand just nicely fills this empty space. But if you wear ropes, for example, or you use a towel, you can also solve that problem in a different way. Okay, so much from my side for today. Xuan-san, if you can translate, and after that we start the question and answer session.
然后老师刚才补充了一点关于左右的问题，就是在日语，左脚盘还是右脚盘，其实是两个不同的坐姿，有不同的名字哈。在佛教里面，那个右脚先盘叫降魔坐，日语里面叫降魔坐哈。我刚才看了一下中文翻译也是这个字儿啊，降魔坐。然后是左脚在先盘的叫吉祥坐。中文我看好像也的是吉祥坐，刚才维维姐说那个金刚坐，我不知道什么是金刚坐啊。然后其实，在瑜伽里面也有吉祥坐，但是瑜伽刚才我翻了一下书没翻着啊。我们有一个，我待会儿得查查书，我现在记不太清楚了，是不是左脚在上这个是吉祥坐，我一会儿得查一下哈。就是老师说，其实它一个是可能就是它这两个左脚先盘和右脚先盘是不同的两个坐姿，有不同的名字啊。这是一个，还有就是手呢，当然那个道元禅师他是提议大家右手先，因为他是右手在下面，左手在上嘛，因为他是提议大家先盘右脚嘛。其实也有一些人说是跟印度传统或者跟我们亚洲的这些文化传统有关，就是印度人他其实是用右手吃饭。然后呢，右手来握手，右手去做一些好像比较高尚一些的，一些事情，而左手像左手去干一些脏活，洗厕所呀，包括清洁身体呀，然后都是左手，所以它有阴和阳的这个关系哈，但是可能也有传统的这个关系。当然道元禅师他是提议大家先盘右脚，然后把左手放在右手上面。 嗯，老师呢，他以他这么多年坐禅的经验，他不觉得就是你把左脚放上面和把右脚放上面，或者是你换一只手搭在上面有什么大的区别？其实是没有，他是觉得没有大区别的。当然他也不会要求大家，就是你一定要盘腿，或者是一定要半莲花，你可以坐在椅子上面，你也可以躺下来。或者你可以跪下来，其实都可以找一个你可以精神集中和舒服，可以长时间稳定的一个姿势，其实比较重要。如果当然那个手像道元禅师就是他提议的那个手呢，放在中间的位置为什么好啊？可能是因为它有一个空间，就是你的两个脚盘起来，刚好中间有个空间，把手放在那儿，那个地方靠近肚脐，所以就是可能更聚集能量。还有就是，如果你觉得那个手下面有空间
间
比较不好的话，可能
的话，可能你放心，
你可能放个毛巾，或者是你放一个别的东西，可能手会更安静就是会更加稳定一些。其实左手右手都行。老师的意思就是说，其实没有那么严格，只是道元禅师他的提议是这样的，然后还要看大家个人情况。应该大概其实就这样。Sorry, I muted you. Sorry.
Yeah, Joseph writes that in the Tibetan tradition, obviously, they also put the right hand on top. So I don't know why it's probably in Chinese then it's the same, because Dogen Zenji is copying most of the text that I've been reading from Chinese sources. So I don't know why in China, Korea, and Japan it's this way, in other traditions the other way around. Maybe it's just this cultural difference between eating with the right hand and cleaning yourself with the left hand in some cultures, while in China you connect the right side with yang and the left side with the yin activity. In Zazen you more imagine to be a quiet state, so you would prefer the left side on top. I don't know if that's the reason or if there's any other reasons. But I experimented with switching the hands around, and in the beginning, because I sat for so long, I sat for 20 years with the left hand on top. So for the first couple of times it felt very strange to sit this way, because for 20 years I didn't. But then after a while I wanted to see if it would change anything with the right hand on top. And in the long run I didn't notice any change. Maybe I'm just not, my body perception is just not subtle enough. But I have the feeling that actually it doesn't change so much. But yeah, if you have any questions, any comments, please feel free to ask whatever you would like to ask.
Perhaps I'll just share my experience, if I may. That yeah, most of the time I've been meditating, I've done the left hand. My left hand on top. That's sort of what I've been used to for years. And then when I went to this guided meditation, and I was sort of told, "No, put your right hand on top." Yeah, at first it felt strange and weird, but I actually felt it more like energizing. Like, one problem for me is I often end up feeling a bit deep during sitting, and this time I don't know, it felt like there was more sort of energy through my body, but that might just be because it was not what I was used to, so it was unusual and strange, and if I carried on doing it then it wouldn't have any sort of effect, but that's just my experience anyway.
Anything else you would like to ask or share?
There's a question in the chat. The other, how to say, you on your knee, the one you said, the position you meditate on your knee, I don't know if you can read the kanji 金刚座. I don't know how to say in Japanese.
Kongosa, diamond seed?
Yeah.
Yeah,
They call that diamond seed.
yes.
And also you feel hotter and hotter during zazen. Is it normal to feel hot?
Yeah, I think quite a lot of people notice that they sometimes develop a lot of energy heat, which is nice, especially in the winter. Like in Antaiji, sometimes the temperature in the meditation hall goes down to 0, but it's not that you feel super warm, but even at 0 degrees, your body develops this heat, which is nice. In the summer, on the other hand, it would be nice if you would feel cooler, but that usually doesn't happen. I don't know where this energy comes from, but it's nothing to worry about. Especially when it's cold. For example, in Osaka, we sit even in the winter, January, February, when we sit outside. It's quite nice when the body warms up to a certain degree. So it's nothing to worry about.
薇薇姐，你明白吗？就是老师说，其实老师也不知道为什么坐禅的时候会有这种能量的流动哈。那个在安泰寺的时候，其实冬天要零下好几度，然后他们也是在坐禅，然后大家身体也会发热。当然冬天这样好，其实夏天你也会这样，其实夏天就不大好了。老师刚才说，就是在夏天的时候也会有这种情况。还有就是，所以你不用担心啊。然后他们在那个就是大本城公园坐禅的时候，也是冬天，就是一月份、12月、1月、2月这3个月很冷，大家都坐在外面，也是身体会发热，就是能量流动嘛，也不知道为什么啊，就是坐禅的时候，所以不用担心。
我是最近几次才有这种感觉，以前好像也没有。
Recently she feel the energy, the hot energy, but before she doesn't feel that. 可能是件好事呢哈，薇薇姐。
Chris is raising his hands.
Yeah, I was thinking about a philosophical question about Zen that's a little bit, I don't know if it's related to the topic today, but so thinking about emptiness, I think you talked about this when we were doing Zway Monkey a long time ago, but recently I've injured my knee, so I can't do Zazen the way I did before, but then I'm thinking about it in terms of emptiness, or not directly, but like, it's not really good or bad that I injured my knee. So in a way, it's also good because I can practice the weaker leg on top, or like I can think now it gives me a chance to rest, recover other parts of my body. It gives me a chance to do other kinds of training. So like this is kind of a useful thing in life to think of, bad things are sometimes good as well. But then, and that might be one aspect of the teaching of emptiness. But I could also say that about anything. I could say, okay, well then all like nothing's bad or it's actually good, and I'll just get to Dogen's paradox where it's like, well then we can just do whatever we want and then it might be good. So how can you give me any insight? How do I not, I could think of using this idea to do good things in a positive way, but then it's like I'm back in duality again. So how do you explain this, using bad things for good without without falling into an incorrect understanding?
I mean, referring to the knee, first of all, it's not a good thing when you injure yourself, but as you say, there might also be some positive things coming out of that as an effect. Well, first of all, you have to accept it that it is as it is. You might label it as bad or as good, but it is as it is. You have to accept the situation as it is. And next, well, that doesn't mean that it's, how do you say, not important what you do. So, for example, well, one famous example is, well, killing a person is good, but what if that person is Hitler? Killing a person is bad, but what if that person happens to be Adolf Hitler? Maybe it's good. And in some cases, well, I don't know, I think it was a retreat by Goenka, that famous Vipassana teacher. I think he's not alive anymore. At the time he still lived, but you saw these videotapes. He gave this strange example of somebody throwing a can on the road. That in itself is a bad thing. Somebody kicks that can. That in itself is, well, neither a good thing or a bad thing. Then a pregnant mother slips on that can that somebody kicks and she falls over. And she has, how do you say, an abortion? Well, she loses the child that she has. That's an incredibly bad thing. But actually that child, if it had been born, would have become a dictator. So actually it was a good thing. So thinking about that, maybe it was a good thing to throw that trash can, that can on the road. Does that mean that it's always a good thing to throw your garbage on the road? Because you don't know, finally, all the good and bad effects. The answer, of course, is not. You don't know what's the best thing in each situation, and you have to accept reality as it is right now. But you can still try to make the best of that reality that you have to accept. So, for example, in your case, that injured knee. You have to accept that the knee is injured, and you don't know if it's a good thing or the bad thing in the end. But you can still, well, try to do your best to help the knee, to improve the knee, also to help the other foot that maybe you didn't use so much, and maybe it helps the other foot. So it doesn't mean that, well, it doesn't count what you do. Everything is the same in the end. No, not everything is the same in the end. You need to do your best now, aim at the best, but you will often fail, and you have to accept that. And certain things, or most of the things, are beyond your control in the first place. You can't even control the weather. So lots of things you have to accept. Some things you can change, and those that you can change, you should change to the best as far as you can judge. And you cannot judge so much. You don't know what will happen to that can that you throw on the road. But in most cases, it's not a good thing. It's not a good idea to throw your trash just like that into the street. So maybe better not to do it.
It sounds like you're using the two truths to explain this, and it makes sense to me. But thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Anything else you would like to share? Bernal, you're doing Gasho. You have a question? No. What's the time? 9:06. If you have no other questions, next week I will be away, but I think Xuan-san will teach pranayama, same time, same address, and then in 2 weeks I'm gonna be back, and in 2 weeks it's gonna be about Sawaki Roshi's To You. Another question by Angela.
If Xuan is doing next week's pranayama, is it in English or only in Chinese?
English and Chinese.
Okay.
And also, outside of this Monday class, Xuan-san is teaching a lot of yoga classes, also in English language. So you find the information at your homepage, and the address to the homepage you can find under my English videos. Or if you ask Xuan-san, she will tell you. So yeah, thank you for attending. Have a nice 2 weeks. Thank you, Xuan-san, for hosting us. See you again. Thank you for joining.